Hi and welcome to this week's astrology. I am so sorry for those of you who tuned in up to 8 minutes ago. There's some of you are on Facebook Live, I can see, and some of you are hopefully on Hay House Radio. We've had some technical difficulties, but the wonderful and quick thinking Mike and Rachel seem to have sorted things out. So let's just go from the top. We've only lost about 8 minutes. It's a really big week, which is why I was really determined to get this on air, even if we had to have a bit of a mess around like that. It's a big week because we have two really big things happening. One is the June solstice, and the other is the new moon in the sign of Cancer. Now, both are fantastic, both are big, and I'm going to go into what they both mean as the show progresses. And at about past, I'm going to open the phone lines. If I can, I'm not sure if I'll be able to, but if I can, I'm going to open the phone lines so you can just call in to Hay House as usual. Or start calling in now and let me know what your questions are. In particular, questions to do with where you want to start again this week would be great because it's the new moon. And also any questions related to home or family, because the new moon will be taking place in the sign of Cancer, which is all about home and family. So I wanted to start off by talking a little bit about the solstice. It's not actually astrological per se. However, what astrologers do is we actually cast a chart for the moment of the solstice. So the June solstice marks the start of summer in the northern hemisphere, which is where I am right now, where it's about 29 degrees in London, which is really unusual. If you visited London, if you're one of the many tourists that come here, you know we're famous for rain. Well, right now it's a sweltering 29 degrees. And also the solstice, which is actually going to take place tomorrow, marks the start of winter in the southern hemisphere for all my Australian compatriots. In the northern hemisphere, it marks the longest day of the year, so that's all throughout the UK, the US and the rest of the northern hemisphere. And in the southern hemisphere, it's the shortest day of the year. As I said, it doesn't have any astrological meaning per se. It's actually an astronomical phenomenon, but it's still potentially an extremely rich and useful time to work on yourself and your life using the solstice planets as your guide, okay? So what many of us astrologers do is we cast a chart for the moment of the solstice, which is when the sun moves into the sign of Cancer in this case, and make predictions about how the energies showing up in the chart are likely to play out in the coming 3 months. You can make big inroads into your personal and your professional success by working with the planets at the time of the solstice. And because we have the new moon following hot on the heels of the solstice, that kind of goes double or triple. Okay, so I've done a little bit of looking through the charts this morning in readiness for you this afternoon, and the top 3 things to work on at the time of the June solstice are quite easy to identify, and these are no matter what sign you are, okay? So probably the number one thing to be doing at the time of the June solstice this year, which is around about now, basically today, tomorrow, the day after, is thinking about how well you're communicating. And the reason for this is the Sun, which represents the ego, and Mercury, representing communications, are going to be together at the time that the solstice takes place tomorrow. So this suggests that the better communications are going to be a big theme. Now, first of all, in the world, because the solstice affects the whole world, but also in our personal lives. If you want to live consciously and tap into the solstice energies, promise yourself that over the coming 3 months you will pay better attention to how well you're communicating. That means when you're talking or writing, but also think about non-verbal communication, like if you're on Facebook Live, you can see me crossing your arms or, you know, rolling your eyes, things like that. Think about how your communication is working for you at the time of the solstice. Also, fall more in love with life is the other thing I've written down for myself here. The June solstice features a lovely Venus-Pluto link, which in theory can show us all the magic of the power of love, because magic and power are Pluto words, and Venus is it's all about love. So for more information about this, obviously keep an eye on your horoscopes wherever you read them. You can read them all over the place. My website is moonology.com, like astrology but moonology. But the message overall is that love can change everything. So that means your own life, but also on a global scale. You could say it's never been more obvious that we need more love in the world. Well, hopefully the Venus-Pluto connection at the time of the solstice tomorrow is actually going to augur well for love around the planet. So let's keep our fingers crossed. We all know it's been a tough time recently for love, basically, in the world. Finally, the third thing I wanted to mention about the solstice tomorrow is that it's time for us women to step up, okay? Reason being, there's a link between the ultra feminine moon and Pluto, very powerful planet. And it suggests that it's time more than ever for women to come into their power. And this is a growing theme this year. It's like whatever happens, every time you turn around, there's another signifier suggesting that women are getting more powerful. So if you're female, think about how you are honouring your feminine side. And if you're male, think about the women in your life and how you can better honour them and support them. When I saw the Moon Pluto thing and I was thinking about how it's time for women to step up, I was actually thinking about something I saw with Emmanuel Macron, who's the new president of France. And he did a big thing about a month ago asking women to step up and stand for election in his legislative council election. He did a big video on it. And he said things like, you know, he said to the men, support your women, sit down at the kitchen table and have a discussion. If you think your wife has something to contribute to the country, support her in it, which I just thought was amazing. And I think the solstice is actually supporting that even more. And of course, you know, at this point we need to say vive la France, because they are showing us the way in that regard, I think. So a few more things about the solstice that I wanted to mention. As I said, it's not really an astrological phenomena, even though we can interpret it on an astrological basis. You can interpret pretty much anything on an astrological basis. But I came across a book called The Path of the Spiritual Sun, written by someone called Mark Pritchard, who writes under the pen name of Beelzebub. Slightly strange sounding, but it's a spiritual name, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying, and Angela Pritchard, who I assume is his wife or sister. It's called The Path of the Spiritual Sun. I'm just going to read a tiny little bit because it's a beautiful spiritual interpretation of what the solstice means. And again, the solstice is taking place tomorrow when the sun moves into the sign of Cancer. The summer solstice in the northern hemisphere and the winter solstice in the southern hemisphere. Now, because most of the listeners today are in the northern hemisphere, I'm actually going to be talking about the summer solstice. So apologies to people in the southern hemisphere, but I can't really cover both. So this is from the book, The Path of the Spiritual Sun. They write, the summer solstice is a time to celebrate the light of consciousness within ourselves and within each and every person, and to reflect upon the potential for consciousness to awaken. Okay, so that's pretty amazing. The progress of the sun throughout the year symbolizes the process of attaining enlightenment, and the summer solstice is the final climax of this journey as the day of most light in the year. It symbolizes the ascension found in many great spiritual teachings, okay? It's celebrated in many different religions, including by the Druids, ancient Egyptians, the Mayans, the Romans, and also you'll find that many of the famous monuments built by such people actually align with the summer solstice. Light is spiritual in its nature, and so the sun and stars have spiritual significance that has its root in higher dimensions. The summer solstice is therefore a highly spiritual time, okay? So you might be thinking, okay, it's spiritual, what am I supposed to do about that? How can I work with that? Okay, well, what I would like to suggest is that we connect with the solstice, and as it happens with the new moon, which is also taking place this week, with a chant. And I can see all the calls coming in on the board, and I will take calls in a minute, but I just want to get through this teaching about the solstice and then a little bit about the new moon, and then we'll go to the phone. So hang on in there, guys. So what I am going to do today, it's the first time I've done it on this show. I'm going to be doing a chant in Sanskrit that goes a little bit beyond the basics. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you, if you're in a position to just sit quietly and just listen, quietly breathing, do it. It's going to help you connect with the goddess, and it's the goddess Durga, who is strongly represented at the time of the new moon at all, of any new moon. So just to give you a tiny bit of background, I've spent a lot of time in India recently, especially at a particular ashram where there are 3 goddesses represented there. The goddesses are Lakshmi, who's the goddess of love and abundance, Saraswati, who's the goddess of knowledge and wisdom, and Durga, the goddess with the power to destroy ignorance and evil, which is kind of amazing. Now, one thing you'll find as the divine feminine rises, which we can all see that the divine feminine is rising and rising and rising, is that the goddesses are going to come to the fore more and more. It hasn't been the right time, really, for me in particular, to go into the goddesses until now. And now I know that women all over the world are starting to get the goddess message. Now, goddesses are something like energy forms, they're symbols, but they're also spiritual beings who reside, it's said, in another dimension from us, okay? This week, as the new moon and the solstice take place, light a candle, and the goddess to talk to is Durga, okay? Ask for the courage and strength to pursue your dreams. Now, there's a couple of reasons to do this, not least because, of course, you want to pursue your dreams. We all want to pursue our dreams. However, the reason why I say do it this week is because it's the new moon, okay? And the new moon is a time where we need courage and strength to start again. Plus, it's the solstice, okay? And that, again, marks the start of a new 3-month cycle. So, again, it's a really good time to reconnect and ask for courage and strength to pursue your goals over the next 3 months, whatever they are. I am a firm believer that we are constantly creating our own reality with our thoughts and our intentions, okay? And if you want to create your own reality with your thoughts and your intentions, you have to stay on track. You can't just say a couple of affirmations in January at the start of the year and then just hope everything works out fine. You have to keep coming back to your spiritual practice, okay? Now, one of my favourite ways to do it is with chanting. I do it more and more and more. So I'm going to do a chant here to connect with Durga. So, as I said, if you're in a position to sit quietly, close your eyes, here we go. Just close your eyes and start to become aware of the rise and fall of your breath, okay? So, breathing in, hold and out. And breathing in, hold and out. And breathing in, hold and out. Okay, so the Durga chant, okay, are you ready? I'm going to move the phone like this, those of you on Facebook Live can see what I'm doing. Om Aim Hreem Kleem Chamundaye Viche. Om Aim Hreem Kleem Chamundaye Viche. Om Aim Hreem Kleem Chamundaye Viche. Alright, so it's a very simple chant for courage and strength, and it's the time to do it now because it's the solstice and it's the new moon. Alright, so just a few more things about the new moon before I start to take some calls. Every new moon, if you've got my book Moonology, which is my Hay House book, it's still #1 in astrology on the amazon.co.uk astrology bestsellers. It's still #1. I had a look today. Has been for nearly a year, so thank you to everyone who's bought it. There are 5 things to do that really to focus on at the time of the new moon. And if you listen to this show for 12 months, after 12 months you will have worked on every single part of your life, in effect, if you listen, especially if you listen to every new moon and full moon show in particular. So the first thing to think about this new moon is family time, okay? Make sure you're spending time with people who mean the most to you. That's a really big thing this month. Another big thing this month is to think about insecurity. Are you being insecure? Cancerian energy can be a little bit insecure, so if you want to live consciously, this is a time to check in with yourself and see if you need to nurture your self-belief, okay? Also, nurture yourself and others. The Cancerian energy is all about being cozy and looking after yourself, be it with food or by taking a lovely bath, for example. That's a wonderful way to look after yourself, but it's about looking after yourself and looking after others. So think about who looks after you. Could you look after them a little bit better too? Also, this is a really good time this week to review your goals for the year ahead, okay? We are now halfway through 2017. So how are you doing with the goals that you set for yourself at the start of the year? All right. And another one, it's a funny one, bathe. I'm not suggesting you don't bathe enough, but Cancer energy is all about water and bathing. If you can't swim in the ocean, a river or a creek, do honour the Cancerian energy with a soak in the tub, as I just mentioned, or hop in the spa. See what ideas come to you as you relax. I have some of my best ideas in the bath. They say it's because you replicate the environment of the amniotic fluid in the womb. Okay. If you want to know about which house the new moon is taking place, because each new moon will trigger a different part of your life and a different part of your chart. If you would like to know, is it your love zone or your travel zone or your career zone that's getting a boost this week with the new moon in Cancer, then you can download one of my new moon info sheets. Okay, they're something I've prepared. I've been selling them for years. People love them. We get so much repeat business. So you just go to newmooninfosheets.com, newmooninfosheets.com, and choose the one for your sign. And I will say, if you're Cancerian, you get it for free this month. So that's newmooninfosheets.com. One last thing that I'd really like to mention, okay, I'm very big, people who know my work will know that every new moon I work on intentions and intention setting and making wishes and so on. And in fact, I'd really like to do that on this show at some point, for the simple reason that it's the ideal time of the month to manifest. And I'm huge on manifesting. I'm a strong believer in manifesting. It's worked in my life countless times, and I really feel I want to share it with people. One of the best ways to do this is to, on the night of the new moon, which you can check my site, moonology.com, like astrology, but moonology.com, and you'll find, under moon, you'll find the moon times, and you'll find the times all over the world. But it's a really good idea to do a little new moon ritual, okay? So one thing I wanted to offer you as well today is just some ideas for how to create a simple 3-step new moon ritual, okay? So the first thing is to create some kind of sacred space, and you can do that very easily just by lighting a stick of incense, okay? If you want to go the whole hog, I actually love to burn a bit of ghee with a cotton wick, but a bit of incense and some uplifting music, like, say, for example, Deva Premal is obviously an international favourite. I also particularly love the Australian singers Edo and Joe. That's E-D-O and Joe. They're beautiful, beautiful singers. Just put the incense on, put some music on, okay? The next thing to do is something we do for lots of different reasons at lots of different times of the month, but make a gratitude list, okay? The way to manifest is to get yourself into a state of gratitude. Once you're there, you can start to create your world, okay? Write down your top 10 wishes and visualize them, okay? And even more important than visualizing them, feel them in your body. So just say if you are dreaming of a new job, okay? One thing you can do, you don't know where the new job's going to be necessarily, and it's actually better not to be too specific anyway. One thing you can do is you can imagine yourself leaving the house, walking out the door and thinking, oh, I'm so excited about my new job. Oh my God, I'm so excited about my new job. Oh my God, this new job's amazing. Okay, so start to really feel it in your body. That is the way you start to manifest. That is truly the secret. As the late, great Wayne Dyer used to say, feel the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Okay, and finally, once you've made your wishes, once you've done your visualization and you've done your feeling the feelings of the wish fulfilled, let it go. Relax, meditate. Ideally, meditate or just go for a walk and just let it all go, because there has to be a certain amount of trust, okay? All right, so I'm going to leave it there for Facebook Live. If I can work out how to turn the phone off. Here we go. Thank you so much for your patience at the start, and I hope you've enjoyed what's been happening. If you want to come with me, pop over now to heyhouseradio.com and you'll be able to hear the rest of the show, and if you want to, you'll be able to tune in. So that's heyhouseradio.com. See you later. Hear your calls.